I haven't had a lot of people talking about this either in person or online. So I thought I should talk about it because it's something that has been weighing me down for the last I would say 17 years of my life. And this is the shame of receiving a scholarship. I know a scholarship and the word shame don't belong in the same sentence. They really don't. At least theoretically, they don't. But for practical purposes, the two are inseparable. They are very much inseparable. Because receiving a scholarship sends some signal to your brain. It sends some signals to your spirit and to your heart. It makes you feel a type of way, especially if you're receiving the scholarship in the middle of people who are paying for it. I know, maybe someone who has not received a scholarship may assume, these guys feel like he's on top of the world. We have to take our hard earned money and pay. When he just walks here and gets everything paid for, he must feel proud. He must feel like the greatest person on this earth. That's what I think. The people who pay for things and see scholarships, I think, because sometimes I think they're like, or uh, sometimes like I found like most of them were like I tried getting a scholarship, but I couldn't. My grades were low. My family, I was told, was not poor enough. I was told that my school, the school I was going to, is not accommodated in this program. Like I tried and I couldn't win, and he just got one. What did you do? Were you smarter than me? Were you poorer than me? So I think that's how people who have not gotten scholarships and won them feel. But I've gotten scholarship most of my life. I went to a free primary school. I went to high school for free. I went to my first uni for free. And I also went to my fourth uni for free. By now, you probably think I'm bragging, yeah? It might sound like I'm bragging, yeah. And that's why it's so hard for me to like express this information because I feel like I might receive some backlash from people who are like you got it easy all the way and you're complaining. I feel like these people from first world countries who complain about the smallest things that seem insignificant to us. This seems to be this seems to be my story right now. Me exaggerating something to astronomical levels. But I would say like I've gone through a lot in my life, but nothing makes me sadder than the scholarships I've received. Nothing makes me feel like less of a human being than the scholarships I've received. Nothing makes me feel like I don't deserve anything in this world more than the scholarships I've received. I know that's not the intended purpose. And I'd like to say this before I continue. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for all the people who took their hard earned money and put it into me, invested it in my education, invested it in my accommodation, invested it in my clothes, invested it in food, invested it in my entire life basically. So I'm really grateful. I would say I'm really grateful for everyone. And I hope you continue helping more and more people. And I will join you once I'm financially stable and I'm able to help anyone. But like to express, like back in primary school, I there was this group of people. Like we were not doing well financially. Most of us, like I went to a school where we were all really from the village. So I wouldn't say one was better off than the other, but there are certainly some in there who are better than others. And I felt the pressure. I felt the pressure. I remember hiding when I was going for lunch. I was hiding because I didn't want my classmates to know what I had brought from home. Because it was the same thing. Like my parents would cook the same thing each and every day because that's all they could afford. And I didn't want to look like that guy. I didn't want to look like I'm below everyone else. I wanted to fit into this group. So I had to hide that side of me. I had to hide any side of me that made me look like of less of a person than they would see me or that like than I felt I was. I avoided them and everything. And this went on. And they would have these games and everything. And every time I felt like my financial status would get exposed or the situation in our family would get exposed, I would hide and I would hide from everyone and everything. That was not the worst part of it. That was just primary school. It's free for most people. At least the government made it free when I was joining back in 2003. But I went to high school. High school is not free. In Kenya, high school is not free. But there is one school. It's called Starehe Boys Center, which is where I went, and it provides scholarship. 75% of the students are sponsored. They receive about 20,000 applications every year, and they only pick 250 students. So it's quite a competitive school because it's also one of the top national schools in the country. I would even argue it's the best national school in the country, and it has been for many years. And that's where it gains its name from. That it's meant to help poor kids who are brilliant in school and who have a bright future. And I have spoken about this in the other video. The reason why it's not 100% scholarship is that they needed the 25% to interact with the 75%, because the 25% were the upper class in the country. So these 75% were expected to perform so well academically and in the extracurricular activities that they were going to join these big positions in the government and in the private sector. And they would be encountering these people, the 25% in those areas. And because they interacted with them in high school, they would be able to maneuver through that environment comfortably. But that was different from the situation on the ground. I felt like there was some, I would call it classism. There were two classes, the upper class and the lower class, and we related that to the core. People formed their own groups. I wouldn't say it was intentional. I wouldn't say people were segregating just intentionally. It's just that we had different stories to tell. Someone who has lived in the city their entire life and someone who has lived in the village their entire life, those two people have two very different stories to tell. Very different. Their childhoods are completely different. The games they played when they were kids are different. The programs they watched on TV while they were kids are different. The radio stations they listened to were different. The people they hung out with on a daily basis were different. The jobs their parents did were different. The connections they had were different. So these were completely different people. And even when they tried to interact, there was this kind of divide. Like I tried to socialize with everyone at that time, but I was having a really hard time because we were talking about things I had never heard of, like the TV programs. Like we had a small TV at that time, a black and white TV that it was analog and I had access to only one channel. That was Citizen TV. So that's as far as my TV knowledge went. I think these kids had satellite TV at that time in their homes, and even those who didn't were accessing a few more channels than we were. I was listening to vernacular radio, and these were kids that grew up listening to English radio stations at that time. At that time, I found the English radio station speaking too fast for me to understand what they were saying. Then they were playing different games, board games. I don't think I'd ever played a board game other than checkers, which we used to play with bottle tops uh, and some cotton surface and all that. I used to play football using a polythene, a ball made of polythene bags and wrapped in rubber bands. And I used to play barefoot. Sometimes we'd run, sometimes we'd play hide and seek. These are games you play in the village. Sometimes you go to the water, to the river to fetch water, or take the cows to graze, or be in the farm digging, or be scaring away animals which are trying to get into the farm. Something village life. But these people didn't understand any of it, and they are not interested. No one is interested in your village life. At least not at high school level. As I found people interested in my village life at a higher level, but at high school that's a no-no. Everyone wants to belong to the city, and I could see people trying so hard, and I was also trying so hard, but I felt true. I felt like I was nothing at that time, and the scholarship didn't make me feel better. I felt like I would be better if my parents paid for this. If my parents were rich and are able to pay for this, I would be able to relate with these school kids. I'd be able to belong in this group that everyone wanted to belong to. Like I would be great. I would be happy. Maybe I might even be in love with my life and everyone. And I did something even worse. I went to uni abroad to the University of Toronto. It's the best university in Toronto. Everyone in Canada knows that. And I was met with something with my scholarship now. I was starting to date at that time. And my scholarship was a big hindrance. Because when I want to go on a date, I don't want to tell this girl I'm on a scholarship. What will she think of me? She'll think this guy is worth nothing. This guy is the poorest of them all. He shouldn't be in this school. He shouldn't be in this city. He should go back to where he came from. He's taking advantage of our resources. He should be shunned. That's what I thought the girl would say. Even the male friends, I didn't want to tell them I was on a scholarship because there might be these guys can't contribute to our trips. This guy, and then I even on a try was trying to make friends in my first week. I remember, and someone just asked me, do you know about the Kardashians? I'm like, I've heard the name, but I really don't know much about them. Nothing about them really. I know them just as a name. So I'm like, we can't really relate on any level. Just your level of talking is just so different from me. I when I was applying for jobs, I refused to tell them that I was on a scholarship because they might be like, "Oh, this is a poor person. He does not paint a good image for a company. We want people of a certain class, because class is a big thing in most circles. People of different classes don't associate. It's a class system. No matter how hard we try to say we are the same, even when we have the same color, it's a class system. Classes stick to their own classes. So I ended up just finding friends who I could relate to. And even those I could relate to, some of them had come from some very good places in Kenya or in Africa. They're not very poor in Africa. Some were even paying their own school fees there with their money or their parents' money. That was another thing. I felt I couldn't belong. I went to class and everyone had a MacBook at that time. Not everyone, but majority. I was like, I have my Dell laptop which is functioning fine and is doing everything I needed to. But how will people see me when they see me with a Dell laptop? Like they're going to think less of me. I wish I could buy a MacBook, and I ended up buying one. And I was like, no, I went even further. It's like I got an iPad as well. I wanted to belong. Then I went and upgraded my phone as well. I wanted to get an iPhone, although I didn't like the iPhone that much, based on using it for a while. So I got a really good Samsung phone at that time. And I would check how they are dressing, and I would dress like that. I would hear them talking about a show just in their own circle, then I would go watch that show. I hear them talking about a celebrity, and I would listen to that celebrity. I went to online forums at that time. That's when I was getting exposed to the internet now. And I spent hours and hours trying to understand this new culture, understanding these new people. And yet, even with all the research I did, I still couldn't fit in. The vocabulary they were using, the way they were phrasing things, like there's a way you phrase things based on the culture. I couldn't phrase them like that. I was talking about advanced things. I was talking about the topics they were interested in, but I was phrasing it in words that they wouldn't, which exposed my class at that time. And it was something I was struggling so hard to hide at that time. So life, life went on like that. I went to a different school. Don't want to tell anyone that I have a scholarship. And to my surprise, most of the time, when I'm forced by circumstances to tell someone that I'm on a scholarship, most people are very shocked. They're not shocked because I'm lower class and they don't want to associate with me. They're shocked because they think I'm smart. At least that's what they tell me. Because everyone I've told before is like, "Oh, you got a scholarship, yeah, you must be really smart." I'm like, no, I don't feel smart. I feel stupid. I feel like I don't belong in this world. I feel like I was born in the wrong era. I feel like I was just born different. I am not appreciating anything. So even after all that, I still feel that way. Like I've been told, include it in your CV, include that you have a scholarship. That will make those people who are vetting people see that you're a very smart person and they will pick you for the job. But I'm like, no, no. I might meet someone else, someone who believes that people of a lower class should remain in their lower class and people of the upper class should remain in the upper class, and they're not going to be impressed by my scholarship. They're going to look at me a type of way. Because sometimes I get into a new job and some people look at me and I'm like, You're looking at me a type of way because of my class, and it happens. Yeah, it's a real problem. Thanks for watching.